Good afternoon. Welcome, everybody. On behalf of the Pro Football Hall of Fame and the Board of Directors of the Pro Football Hall of Fame Luncheon Club, I call to order the 6th meeting of the 61st year of the Pro Football Hall of Fame Luncheon Club. Our invocation today, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, will be given by Jeff Franks of North Industry Church of Christ.
As we begin, we'd like to have a moment of silence. Two fellows that recently passed away, John Oates and Bob Berkebile. Please bow your heads with me for a moment of silence. Our gracious Heavenly Father, today we come to we thank you for this food that we've been blessed with today and those who prepared it. We thank you for time to spend together in interests of football and friends and family. And Father, we pray your blessing upon this time and those that are here. Keep those that are not with us healthy, strong, be part of this group. We just thank you for this time. In your Son's name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. What a great weekend of high school sports, college sports, and pro sports. Obviously, congratulations to, I know, Mike, you have to excuse me for a second here, but TJ's Glen Oak Golden Eagles, big winner Friday night over McKinley. I'm sure Mike will address that in a minute. Buckeyes look good away without 3 running backs and their number 2 receiver, who's probably the second best receiver in the country. So good job by the Buckeyes. And how about the Browns yesterday? Who would have thought that, huh? It's the NFL, anything can happen. Anything can happen. Pastor, thank you for acknowledging the deaths and illnesses. Please keep those families in your thoughts. I want to introduce some special guests here as well from the head table and throughout. Obviously, to my far right, our trustee and financial secretary with the clergy this month is Wade Hostetler. The far end, my long-lost cousin, Audie Everett, is the guest of Mike's today. Next to her is Gene Doss, Mike's father. Next to him, coming this way, is Jasmine Doss, the wife of Mike Doss. And obviously our speaker today, Michael Doss. There are some other folks that I know have snuck in here, and I know that one of them's going to be mad that I introduced him, but he's been a longtime friend, a coach of Mike's for the time he was in high school. That is Bob Neff. Bob, if you're here, say hello. Bobby. Also, I see in the back, Honorable Judge Kurt Warren is here. And I was told also that a former Bulldog and big supporter of McKinley sports, Ted Bowersox, is here. Ted? And if I missed anybody, they snuck in without me seeing them or hearing about them, but welcome for all of you that are guests here today as well. I want to recognize our sponsors, Dr. Peter Ferguson, the Marion Motley Memorial Fund Scholarship, the AultCare Primetime Health Plan, Wilkshire Golf Course, and Liberty Ford. Many of you are probably wondering, this week we typically have the coaches for Massillon McKinley. This year we weren't able to get that together, but I think we've got a great speaker for you nonetheless, and a famous McKinley grad as well. So we do have that commitments for next year. So next year at this time we will have both the Massillon and McKinley head coaches for this particular week. So plan on that. The dates, I want to remind everybody, the dates for the November event at the Pro Football Hall of Fame have been switched. We'll be at the Hall of Fame on November 20th instead of the 13th, okay? Don Hertler Jr. will be the speaker here on the 13th, and then we will have a Pro Football Hall of Famer at the Hall on the 20th. So the dates will be wrong on the ticket, but we'll still be honoring those tickets as well. And we'll start selling tickets for that date 2 weeks prior, which will be November 6th. So make sure you're able to purchase tickets then. And Tim, do we still have, I think there's one shirt remaining? One shirt? Okay. Anybody wants to buy it? We have one short sleeve black golf shirt. It is a XXX large. So, see Tim. Somebody's got to know somebody that can fit in that, right? Absolutely. All right, brings me to the raffle. $223. $223. I'll Mike pick it. It's the only time Massillon fans will like you, Mike, if you pull their number. 448-335. Tim Richard has the money. 448-335. In the back.
It was within 100 and something.
All right. And sticking with the OSU theme that we've had the last few weeks, Dick LeBeau last week, I thought Dick was fantastic. I hope you guys agree. Former Buckeye. This week, obviously, with Mike, and then next week, our speaker will be former Buckeye coach Jim Tressel, and former president of YSU, former coach at YSU as well. So, exciting few weeks here lined up for you. Which brings me now to the introduction of our speaker, and no one knows him better, of course, than his wife. Please welcome Jasmine Doss.
Good afternoon. How's everybody? So Mike kind of sprung it on me last week that he had to speak and say, and you're going to introduce me. So I can't tell you how many times I've attended events like this, and this is the first time I have ever been asked to participate. I'm happy to be here. I did think about it a little bit and decided to quickly prepare something to introduce my husband today. So I have the distinct pleasure of introducing someone who has been a staple in my life since the tender age of 12 years old when we met on the campus of the Ohio State University, long before my family ever moved to Canton or we attended McKinley together as teenagers. We grew up together. We've engaged in tons of mischief and adventure together. I'm sure that most, if not all of you, know Mike to some degree, or at least know something about him. But behind that charming and charismatic exterior that you all may know, there is a remarkable story of resilience and success. When most people think of Michael, they see an individual who's collected an impressive array of public accolades, They see a dynamic figure who seems to glide effortlessly from one accomplishment to the next. But what most people don't know is that behind the public facade is a person that is simply committed to finding or making a way out of no way. It's true that he shines brightest when the people are watching, but few people know that he could also moonlight as a stand-up comedian or maybe even a math tutor. His wit, humor, and intelligence are impressive as his public and athletic achievements. But what truly sets Michael apart is his relentless determination. He is the quintessential self-starter and against all odds winner. From the very beginning, he defied public expectations and proved that with the right attitude and work ethic, you can achieve greatness. In a world that often tries to fit us into predefined boxes, he has carved his own path, reminding us that our potential is limited only by our imagination and our dedication. He's an inspiration to so many, showing that you can be a brilliant academic and also a class clown, as well as a Hall of Famer and a socially astute individual all at once. As we gather here today to talk football and the greatest high school football rivalry, I want to shine a light on the person who embodies the perfect blend of humor, intelligence, athleticism, and unwavering determination. That person that has shown us that the road less traveled can lead to the most extraordinary destination. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, please join me in welcoming Canton, Ohio native and my awesome husband, the one and only Michael Doss.
When she said this was the first time, man. Jasmine, I really appreciate that. Thank you for keeping all the arguments and the fighting and the frustration of me, off the microphone. But no, what it is, truly an honor and a blessing to be here, enjoying this lovely Monday of Massillon McKinley. We'll give you guys
McKinley Massillon, please.
McKinley Massillon. Sorry, Adi. Man.
You said it right.
Oh, goodness. Thank you, Adi. Exciting. It's very exciting. This is an all familiar place for me, being here and just being able to come back and just kind of, talk about my life, talk about my journey, and have this open forum experience with you guys. 42 years of age now, and when I think back, to growing up here in Stark County, just truly kind of seeing how a small town could help build, grow, and mold someone like myself with my family. We all know the saying, it takes a village to raise a child. And through that process, it has come full circle, and I still have a long way to go. I'm still learning, I'm still growing, and still striving to reach the highest of heights. Just to catch you up as to where I am currently today in my life, I am a commercial real estate broker with the Robert Weiler Company in Columbus, Ohio. Our company is a privately held, just celebrated our 85th anniversary as a company, third generation president in Columbus, Ohio, and also started my own, in the works of starting my own development company of real estate in Central Ohio, and the hopes to bring it back into Stark County as well. Been in real estate for the last 4 years, kind of right there in 2020, the start of COVID. I decided to change my journey. The previous 10 years, I was in the medical field, and if some of you fathers may heard that I would come up to Canton Hospital, Altman. I was down in Dover, New Philadelphia, Ohio, in orthopedic sales. So for anyone who has a joint replacement or a hip replacement, I was your sales rep in the room, working with your surgeon to help get you back healthy and get you mobile and get you up and moving. So I did that for 10 years with the companies of the likes of Johnson & Johnson and Zimmer Biomet. It was previously Zimmer and Biomet, and then they merged. So did that for about 10 years. And kind of in 2019, I looked at my wife and said, hey, I think I want to go back and get my master's. And she was looking at me like, what? You're already doing well. Like, you don't need any more school. And she kind of, I said, you know what? I want to, reach another level of education. And I want to show our daughters, our 3 beautiful daughters, that there's an opportunity to continue to strive for success. So I went and got my master's at the Ohio State Fisher School of Business and Operational Excellence. So for some of the Lean Six Sigmas out there in the crowd, I got a Lean Six Sigma as well. And that was kind of where that thought process of me being in corporate America and medical sales, wanted to have a vision to transition into real estate. And the thought process at that time was that I've always had a vision when I was a young child that I thought I was going to be special, but I always wanted to see my name, on a building, or I didn't want to see my name on a billboard. And Coach Neff would know, I would always kind of give him that look like, wow, Mike Doss, Coach, what do you mean? Like, I'm special. I want the ball. Don't let DeMarlo Rozier run it, put me in. So when I kind of decided to make that transition, my wife was supportive, very supportive. She said, oh, well, you've started over many times in your life, and it's just another opportunity for you to start over. So to kind of give the history as to how we got here. So when I think back, when the first time I've ever touched a football, my dad was in New York, my mother was in Cleveland, and ultimately, God, rest her soul, but my mom and dad weren't ever married. So I ended up staying with my mama for the first couple of years. And then when I got about 6, 7 years old, she said, hey, I'm going to take you down to your dad's family. And my dad was in the Army at the time. To all you servicemen out there, thank you for your service. Thank you, Dad. Appreciate that. The sacrifices that you guys have made for our great country. But at the time, I was moved to Canton and lived with my uncle. So my uncle Larry Doss, my dad's older brother, kind of took me under his roof and decided to introduce me to a whole new life. So he was the first person to kind of put the sport of football into my mind, into my thought process. I was a knucklehead kid, had a lot of energy, running around, getting in fights, and just being a little bit of extra, as Miss Adi would say. And then ultimately he said, let's go play football, let's play basketball, let's play baseball. I played over at Shannon Fields in baseball, played at the Northeast Community Center, Bob Stern, basketball, and football, kind of right there off 30th Street. That's where it all started with the Vikings, my Little League Viking team. So I was an 8-year-old on the 9 and 10-year-old team. So I was always playing up, always playing against older kids or wanting to play against with the best talent. And I got a chance to start as an 8-year-old. So I played corner. I was a cornerback, already starting to tackle people, already getting that energy out and allowing that frustration in the life of the sport to kind of grow on me. So it kind of hit me. I was about so this is a true story. The only championship I've ever lost, I was 8 years old. We were playing against the Bears, and we lost, and I was just devastated. This 8-year-old, just like, what is happening here? And ultimately, I come back now. I'm a 9-year-old, and I'm like, hey, we're going to be good. We're going to compete. And I was like, I'm going to play offense this year, and I'm going to play whatever position they allow me to play. And I played a little bit of tailback, played a little bit of, continued to play defense, and we ended up going undefeated that year. We was 7-0. We didn't even allow a touchdown as a defense as a 9-year-old. So great experience. And then transitioned to when I was 10. Now I'm like the big man on the team. I'm the leader, and I'm playing quarterback. So I go to our head coach. I said, Coach, I want to play quarterback. I'm a left-handed quarterback, 10 years old. He's like, okay.
here's a true story. So now, as we all know in Little League, they have weigh-ins. So everybody who got grandchildren, if you want to run the ball, you have to weigh in, right? For the season. And for us, back in that time, we had to weigh in every week. So it wasn't like now you could just do the preseason weigh-in and you play the whole season. And I remember it was our first game, and my uncle was like, "You're literally not going to eat from like Thursday night." Like Saturday game at 10 o'clock, he's like, "You drinking water, you eat some crackers, some saltine crackers, you got to make weight." So our weight limit, I think, was like 90 pounds at the time. And literally, they bought the scale out. So all the athletes in the league, we all weighed in at one time, and they bought the scale out. And these guys kind of weighed in. They had on their t-shirts, sweatpants, whatever. My uncle was like, "Strip down right now." So I'm like, I'm taking off my equipment, I'm taking off my socks, I'm taking off my t-shirt. I'm literally standing on the scale in my underwear, and I weighed 89.9. And they was like, "Okay, you can run the ball." So now I'm the quarterback, and I'm just Coach Carl Jeter. I would just be like, "Let's run the quarterback sweep left, let's run the quarterback sweep right." I was like, I don't want to hand the ball off. I'm like, we're going to, be undefeated. Like, I want to, go out here and I had a lot of fun. My best friend, John Lucius, he's at work right now. Sorry he couldn't be here, but we played together since we were 8 years old. And we and him would just fight all the time, like, who's going to get the ball? We'd be in the huddle. He was like, "You ain't running it this time, I'm running it." And I'm like, "Look, I'm the quarterback, I'll control this. You better be nice to me. You want to touch the ball, okay?" So, had a good season. We finished undefeated. And then now we transitioned to the 11 and 12 year league. Now I get to play, as everybody in here probably knows, if you follow McKinley, you know the name R.C. Hill. R.C. Hill was the head coach of the 49ers on the 11 and 12-year-old team. And now I come up there, and I'm like, man, I'm playing for the 49ers. We're going to keep winning. And R.C. comes like, "So what position you want to play?" I was like, "I want to play running back." He's like, "You're playing defense, because you're going to start on defense." So I started on defense, played a little bit of receiver for us. I did get a chance to run the ball when I was 11, but I played so well on defense that now we went undefeated, won the championship again. Now I'm thinking I'm going to stay on a 12-year-old team now. So I come after the season, I'm looking forward to next year. And like, "Hey, what's the off-season program, Coach C?" And he's like, "What?" He's like, "You're going to middle school." I'm like, "I'm 12 years old." I'm not like, he's like, and everybody kind of remembers that transition. This was kind of right in the time. High school used to be 9 through 12, be 10 through 12, and then middle school was like 7 through 9th, and then I was a 5th grader, basically about to be 6th grader going into the 7th grade, and ultimately, I'm like, the transition happened at the same time as I'm going in. So then McKinley switched to 9 through 10, and then Hartford switched from 6 through 8. And I'm like, man, I'm like, he's like, "No, you're playing up, you're too good for this league, you would just destroy this league, it would be no fun for you." And I'm like, "Really?" So now, I'm thinking, and I played, against Kenny Peterson in Little League. I didn't play against Jamar Martin, and that's they were on the Bears who beat us in the championship when I was 8, just to let you guys know. How did I lose the championship? Well, I had to play against my former teammates at 8 years old, and they were all 10. And I'm looking at those guys. So now I'm like, I'm going to middle school, so now I'm like, okay, I go out for the 7th and 8th grade team. Well, back then too, a lot of schools were in that transition. You had a 7th grade team and you had an 8th grade team. Well, at Hartford, we only had one team. So I'm like, oh my goodness. So I don't know if I'm gonna get a chance to play. I'm working out in my backyard. My uncle's throwing me the football. I got my bags out. I would do my own drills, watching NFL stuff on Sunday, and I would be like, okay, I'm gonna go in the backyard. I'm doing what they were doing on the TV. I'm gonna do that. And went to the first off-season workout, and we had to run our track at Hartford. So we had to run a 400-meter run. So I said, you know what? For me to impress the coaches, I'm gonna beat these guys on a 400-meter time run. I took off like lightning out of a bottle. I'm running past James Gamble, I'm running past Rasan Hall, I'm running past all these guys, and I'm just like, halfway around the track, I fall down. I didn't put it all out there in the first 200 meters. So I'm like, oh my goodness. Whew, get up, finish, and the coach was like, well, what are you doing? I said, I'm trying to make the team. I want to make the team. He's like, you're on the team, it's middle school. Like, you already, now when you're gonna play, that's a different story. We gotta see when you get the equipment on. I'm like, okay. So we started playing training camp and everything. And as we all know, I've grown into be a ferocious hitter, and I just started hitting everything that moved. So I'm 7th grade, I'm out there just hitting, I'm 12 years old, playing with these 13, 14, 15-year-olds, I'm just hitting everything that moved. Boom, somebody go left, boom, somebody go right. I'm hitting my own teammates on defense. I'm knocking them down. And coach was like, oh, so what you gonna play? I said, I'm gonna play, I play defense. So they put me at corner. So I'm the only 7th grader starting on the 8th grade team. And that's kind of when I knew that I was kind of special. I was like, okay, I'm the only 7th grader on the 8th grade team. And at the time, and my wife kind of gave you guys the early history we met when we were 12 years old at Ohio State. And we actually, she was a Columbus native, and she moves to Canton in the middle school. So I go to Hartford, and she goes to Crenshaw. So I'm calling her, I'm like, look, when we play y'all, you're gonna have to come watch me play, because I'm the 7th grader on the 8th grade team. She's like, whatever, Mike, what are you talking about, So now, at the end of the day, as I'm, on the team, and I'm like, balling, I'm doing okay, and then we played against Crenshaw, and I remember coming out the tunnel, and I looked over, I pointed, like, hey, you see me over here, we wearing the black and gold, Hartford's black and gold, I'm wearing the black and gold, and I'm pointing at her like, yeah, you know what it is. You my girl, even though you got Crenshaw. Don't even worry about it, I'm calling you every day, don't even worry about it. So, true story, was I calling? Yeah. So, have a good year and play well. 8th grade, we go undefeated, and then now it's on to the big time. And 8th grade was the reason why I fell in love with this week. This week is a big week here in Stark County. We all know what it means. And 8th grade was the 100th game. So I'm an 8th grader at Hartford, Stark County kid, and we travel out to that team 8 miles west. And it's truly my first time in their stadium. In middle school, they didn't let us play in their stadium. When the Canton schools came out to that team out west, we didn't play in their high school stadium because they didn't want us to be in their stadium for whatever reason. So it's my first time in that stadium, and I just remember the energy, the crowd. I mean, 20,000 fans, the Tiger logo on the field. They bring the Tiger out in the cage, they running around. And I'm like, the balloons, and both teams come out the tunnel. It's the 100th game. It's the ESPN story that week. They've hyped this thing up to, I'm like, man, this is high school football. Are we serious? And at the time, we had, I believe it was Adrian Brown was our tailback, and he was a junior, and it was a really good game. We ended up going into overtime, and I just remember my best friend, me and John, we were there. His dad actually drove us out there. His dad drove us out, and we were in the stands. And I just remember sitting in the end zone, on the north end zone, and watching Willie Spencer do the forward lateral that they didn't throw the flag on. To this day, I was already, to this day, why don't we have replay in high school? I just don't know why. We cannot challenge a call in high school. Are they, really? All this technology, everything that we got, we cannot. So I remember the play, the forward lateral, and the crowd goes crazy. and all these Massillon fans are just pointing in our face. You know, you guys suck. You lose. You're losers. And I looked at John, and we both started crying. McKinley lost. We missed the extra point, and we started crying. And I was like, I will never, ever lose to these guys. I swear, whatever I have to do, we are not going to lose to these guys. And ultimately, there's the transition into high school. So we ended up beating them in the one-on-one game, but that 100th game to me just felt so significant, and the energy for that. And I just was like, when I get there to McKinley, like, this is not going to happen. So I come in, freshman, again, you know, having the opportunity. Coach McDaniels, our head coach at the time, you know, giving me a chance to play special teams. Coach Neff was on the staff, and they'll tell you, I would just try to hit anything that moved. I was just out there. I think I was barely 15 years old, 14 years old, freshman, and I was just trying to hit anything that moved, and I got to play kickoff. Got to get on kickoff and just run down as a true freshman. I'm starting on kickoff, and I would just go hit the wedge. Go right down there, boom, I'm hitting the wedge. And just kind of earn my stripes, kind of earn my respect from my older teammates, you know, building my way up on the team. And then ultimately, about 8 games into the season, our starting linebacker got hurt. I want to say it was Jamar. Jamar might have got hurt. He had to sit out one game. Jamar Martin had to sit out one game. And DeMarlo Rozier was the sophomore starting safety, and they said, we're going to move DeMarlo down to linebacker, and you are going to start safety. Michael Doss, you're going to start safety this week as a true freshman in a game up in Warren. So at that time, the other senior safety was Lester Sanders. He's a public speaker here in the community, does a great job helping kids, support them. And Lester was, a great leader. And he said, Coach McD came to him all week and was like, look, you got to line him up. You got to tell him where to be. Make sure he knows the defense. And right before we came out the tunnel, I'm standing in the tunnel. I'm all dripping. I'm nervous, breathing hard. I'm like, man, this adrenaline rush. And Lester says, man, just do what you've been doing. Hit everything that moves. And I got he said, I ain't lining you up nowhere. You just get out there and you just hit anything that moves. And that was my first start as a freshman. Great experience, a lot of fun to start as a true freshman. And then obviously transition. We beat that team out west that year. Adrian Brown had a great game in our stadium. At Fawcett Stadium, and I think he might have ran for a $180, 100-something yards, just totally crushed those guys, and got that first victory on that team out west. So now it's my sophomore year. I'm a true starter now. I'm named a starter. But I'm playing with the greats, DeMarlo, Kenny, and all these guys. But I'm still trying to earn my stripes. I still want to build that respect because they're the older guys. They're the leaders. I'm competing in the weight room with those guys every summer and just trying to get seen. And Kenny was Mr. Everything going into his junior year. And I was just like, man, I gotta get my name out here. I gotta, do my thing. And played well. Had a great season as a sophomore. I think I led us in interceptions. But then it came to that team out west game. It kind of tees up, kind of like this year. This is 1996. They were undefeated. They were 9-0. They were ranked, number 4, I think, in the state at the time. And we had lost to Ignatius, and no one was really giving us a chance. But Jack Rose had a really great squad. He had Christian Morgan. He had Hyman. He had Hines. He had a 2-back quarterback system out there. And I had a great game that game. I think I had an interception early in the second quarter, kind of sparked us. And we ended up beating those guys 21-0, crushed them, crushed their season, just totally crushed them. And then the next week they lose in the playoffs. No state championship for those guys. It was over. And I think a year later, Jack Rose was out of there. I'm like, how they fire this man? He went 9-1, but he loses to us and they got rid of him. So, it comes to 1997. What a year. We all know how special 97 was for Stark County. Canton McKinley being rated, number 1 in the nation, USA Today. Truly a phenomenal year for us. Just having the opportunity to represent us across the country. And we run the table. And I think the best thing was that we crushed that team at home, that team out west. They came to our stadium, we crushed them again. and then we went on to the playoffs. But the greatest play that I think that happened on that season, the one play is we all thought we were gonna lose. This is a true story. We're playing against St. Ignatius in the Akron Rubber Bowl, and my dad's right there. Okay, this man, and I'll take it even back. So he wasn't when he served, and then he moved back. So he watched me in high school live in person. He was here every day. And this man's been supporting me since Little League. He's sending me, getting me new cleats, getting me gloves. He's like, hey, anything you need, just tell me what you want, son, I'll get it. Now it's my #1 team in the country. Okay, playing against St. Ignatius, and we down 14 with a 6, I think, with 3 minutes to go, and my dad leaves the game. My dad leaves the stadium. Him and his best friend, Mike Parker, they turn the radio off. They don't know anything. He left the game. Obviously, we come back. Fred Wilcox makes the catch off of Matt Curry's helmet, and we run down. We beat those guys, I think, 19-16 or 19 or whatnot, 19-14, and we undefeated. My dad doesn't know until they leave. They're coming back to the stadium to pick me up. Like, man, how we gonna calm the boy down? He's gonna be upset. They didn't lost the game, and they sitting there, and all you hear is all these cars coming, beeping their horns and the flags waving. We're going to the state championship. We're going to the state championship. He turns the radio on, and the radio's recapping the whole thing. He never saw it live in person. Okay? He never saw it live in person. He had to go back to the tape and watch the rebroadcast on TV, and then now he tells everybody, well, I was there. I was right there. Mike made the play. So, that year was, as we finished, we beat that Ignatius, go on to play for a real state championship. That team out Westfield. They wouldn't let us play at Fawcett. They said it would be too much of a home advantage. And we go win 31-16, beat Moeller, and become, state champions for the first time since 1981. In 1981, they had playoffs, which was a real state championship. So all I'm understanding is that the real playoff system of the state of Ohio, there's only one true Stark County state champion. Just want to make sure we're on the same page. So, my senior year, Coach Tom McDaniel retires, transitions, and now it's me, his son Ben McDaniels, we're seniors. Coach Kerry Hodakabi came in from Columbus, from Upper Arlington, and we didn't really know what we had as a team, but we were able to scrap Antonio Hall, Garrett Bush, a lot of young guys, Tim Friedman, Lucas McCready's, Chris Wiz, my best friend John. We just kind of decided that, hey, we're gonna have a good year. We don't know what we have, and we run the table and win it back to back. First time I think a public school had done it, in almost 20 years at the time, and just a phenomenal experience for me to kind of leave Stark County, and we all know, and again, my senior year I got to finish and play against that team out west in their stadium, and I call it the Al Bundy, because I played offense. If you guys remember, I only got one season to play offense, and me and Bobby, we still fight about this all the time. I try to tell him, I said, I was the best running back he never played, okay? It took me to become a senior to get to touch the ball, but I was like, I'm the best running back he never played, Coach. But ultimately, go back out to that team out west, and I pulled an Al Bundy. And if anybody remembers what the Al Bundy is, does anybody remember the Al Bundy story? He's 4 touchdowns in the City League Championship, but I caught it 4 touchdowns out there in that team out west field, and we beat those guys and go into the playoffs, and we win another state championship. So when I think about that rivalry, I think about that rivalry, I call it D rivalry. They say it's D rivalry when we play in that team up north out of Columbus. But the true understanding of rivalry football started for me back at the 100th game, back really being able to grow into maturing that, knowing it has been going on for over 100 years. This rivalry is truly the pinnacle of sports to me because of the community backing that you guys support, the blood drive, the battle of the bands, the parades. Like, I learned all that in high school. So when I get down to Columbus and they start talking about a rivalry, I'm like, what are you talking about? The rivalry is, an hour and 90 miles up north. They got Tigers and Bulldogs and, sold out stadiums. It's like, it was, at Fawcett Stadium, 19,000. Tiger Stadium, 18,000. It's like sold out. When you watch, Friday Night Lights on TV, it was like, I lived that in Stark County. So understanding rivalry football, this is the greatest rivalry that I could ever be a part of. It's a lot of fun and it means a lot. But when I got down to Columbus, our speaker next week here will be the great Jim Tressel. I had 2 years with John Cooper, great recruiter. I think he actually spoke here and indicated at the time, before I ever stepped on campus, that Mike Doss would be special. We got a McKinley Bulldog coming to Columbus, and ultimately I had a storied career down in Columbus. I'll give you a story of my senior season, kind of highlight what it really meant to have that conversation with my dad and my uncles, and then they will tell you. So after my junior season, I really had the mindset that I was going to go pro. I wanted to go pro. I had the thought process of just truly living and chasing this dream. You played this game, since you were a kid, 8 years old, and you're like at the pinnacle, like you get to knock on the door and open it, and they say, come join the club. Very close, and I sat down with my family, talked to my then girlfriend, now my wife Jasmine, and we kind of talked, and my family talked, and my dad was like, you need to stay, everything just right on the table, you're gonna be a captain of the team, and just 3-time All-American, you got opportunity to do something special, but we didn't talk about championships and things like that. But it really was, for me at the time, my late mother, she was still alive, and I wanted to just, try to help change our family's trajectory, change our history, our legacy here, and I just wanted to make a change, and it really took a conversation with my mother to kind of give me the nudge to say, I want you to stay in school. To this day, I keep asking my dad, did y'all call my mom and tell her to tell me this? That they had to call, they knew it was like one person who had influence. They didn't call Jasmine, they didn't call nobody, did you call my mom? And so this is the true story. So I don't know what I'm going to do. I set the press conference on my mother's birthday, January 9th. I set it at 2 p.m., which is my number. And I said, this is going to be the greatest present that I can give my mom. So I actually go to class that day. True story. I get in a suit. I go to class. The kids in the class like, what you doing here? What you got a press conference this afternoon? Everybody asks me, you on, you staying? I'm like, I don't know. If you've been in Columbus, 270 is the outer belt. And I just, after class, I had about an hour and a half, and I just drove 270. Just thinking, like, what am I going to do? What's the positive? What's the negatives? I'm just driving 270. I done passed this state trooper about 8 times. He looked and pull up to the facility, and I just said, Lord Jesus, my faith in God. I said, Lord Jesus, whatever your will be done. When I start to speak, just let it happen. So I walk into my press conference. At the time, my dad, I barely had a cell phone. This is, I barely had a cell phone. My dad's calling my phone. I don't answer the phone. I walk into the building. They standing there. My dad's standing there. My uncle's standing there. Like, what you gonna do? I'm like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Like, but I gotta go get this press conference. They like, hold on. I'm like, I'll just start walking. I just kept on walking. And I walk up to the podium, and I just, began to speak. And, the Lord Jesus' Spirit came into me and said, I think you should stay. And I said, the only reason I'm staying here at Ohio State is to get my education, because my mom wants me to be the first college graduate in our family and to win a championship. And being on championship teams since I was 8 years old, just speaking that into existence, saying that out loud, it wasn't like it was a faith thing. It was, I'm planting the seed, but the experience that I had from 8 years old, I've always competed in the championship. I've always played for a championship. So when I was saying it, you know, it just came out natural. It just came out genuine, and it truly was. And I decided to stay, and to me, it was one of the greatest, you know, seasons in Ohio State history, because we were not picked to do anything. We were not, chosen. We didn't have this returning quarterback who was going to be a Heisman candidate, and this top, receiving core, and the number one defense in the country. No one, expected us to do much, and we ran the table week in and week out, just fighting every day. It was truly a grit season. Our goal was win today, win today. Coach Tressel really changed the program when he came into Columbus. His focus and his mindset of he had a regimen, he had a schedule of life. Every morning, TJ would tell you, we would have quiet time. We would sit and reflect for 15 minutes before anyone said a word, reading scripture, reading motivational quotes. We may have a highlight of the day. He'd be like, let's talk about this subject, and we would he would build our minds up. He gave us this toughness that we could do anything and win against anybody. And at that time, against that team up north, I was 0-2, and then Tressel comes in, and I get my 2 victories, at least split. That team out west, I'm undefeated. I'm still, I'm undefeated with real state championships. Okay, but that team up north, I at least got 500. Okay, I was like, okay, if I'm 500, I got respect. I can look them in the face. They can look me in the face. But truly, what Tressel did, for our program in Columbus, and that season was just phenomenal. It took everybody to contribute. I was the captain. I didn't make every play. I did what I could. It was plays I'd given up, no one knew. It was plays I would make. Fox was in my huddle. Everyone knows Dustin Fox. I would tell you, Dustin Fox is the most nervous athlete I've ever been around. Okay? Just a short story about Dustin. We're at Ohio State, and my man would just come in. It'd be after a TV timeout. We literally didn't talk to the coaches for 2 minutes and 30 seconds, got Gatorade, talked about the play, got the defensive call, and the huddle, the whistle would blow, and the play clock would start. And Dustin would come running up to me and be like, "What's the call, man? I forgot the call." Dustin, we just talked about this for 2.5 minutes. If they come out in this personnel or that person, it would be every play. So it had got to the point with me and Dustin where I had to give him a signal. I said, I got 3 signals. I said, if I go like this, it's cover 3. If I point my arm goes flat, it's zone. And if I rub my arm, you're in man. I did this one time. Dustin did this. He said, "What is we in?" I said, "Oh, that's my Dustin story." But I love him. He's a brother, national champion, great friend. So, to the championship season, I think what mattered most, getting a chance to play against that team, the Miami Hurricanes. They were on the greatest winning streak in college football at the time, which makes this story even more phenomenal for us to win a championship, that they had the greatest team in college football. They talk about all this 2001 team, and then the transition in 2002, and they were on a 34-game win streak. And for the Ohio State Buckeyes to go out to Tempe, Arizona, and upset tip over the apple cart a little bit for those guys, and have the first national championship since I believe it was 1968. That for 34 years in Columbus, Ohio, you thought we were rock stars. I couldn't go nowhere without somebody offering me a food. Hey, I'm at the gas station, they trying to pump my gas. I'm like, we all know if NIL was in 2002, oh my goodness, what would be happening right now? But it was just the community, just the entire state. When I came back here to Stark County, just to see the fanfare, the love that you guys have for the great state the school, the Ohio State. I mean, what a great experience for me. Being a 3-time All-American, Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year, just phenomenal experience. And then as of last year, we all know God just truly blessed me by getting that not the call. I'll kind of tell you the story of how I found out that I was getting inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame. This is going to be a little, you'll like this one. So what they do is they actually FedEx you a package. So you get a FedEx package sent to your home. And we had just moved 2 years ago. Really 2 years, well, it was a year at the time. We had just moved, but we're in Dublin. Now we're in Galena, more north, closer to Stark County. So we had just moved, so I get this call from Gene Smith. I'm like, Gene Smith called on my phone. I'm like, now he might text me every once in a while, hey, how's it going? I get a call, I was like, Gene Smith, hello? Hey, Mike, how's it going? I'm like, it's going, just lifing, just trying to take it one day at a time. He's like, you sure, just everything good? I said, yeah, I'm good. How about you? You good? He's like, okay, I'm gonna give you a call back later. So I'm like very naive at the time, not understanding what's even happening. Because the FedEx is supposed to come at like 9 in the morning. This is about 9:30. So that it got delivered, it was just to the wrong address. So I'm like, the SID calls me, Sports Informational Director calls me, and he says, hey Mike, did you get the package? It's about 1 o'clock. And I'm like, I have no package. He said, can you double check, I said, well, I just moved, a year ago. And he's like, oh, we got your old address. So I'm like, oh, okay. So he's like, all right, so let me make some calls. Since I'm a realtor now, I'm like, I sold my own house. So I'm like, okay, let me call the other realtor. Hey, this is Mike. Can you call your buyer who bought my house and see if they got a package or something with my name on it? They're like, yeah, they was about to open it up. So I jump in the car, drive over there to the house, grab the box, and I'm still very just naive at the moment, not even looking at it, just kind of like, it's about big as this, about big as this right here, just a full box. And I drive back to the house, and I'm just kind of like, all right, I walk in, Jasmine's there, and I don't know if the kids were home yet or not, or whatever. So I open the box, and I see like it's a white cloth, and it has this, then there's a card, a small note card, and I kind of open the card, and I'm kind of looking, and then how they set it up where you have to read the words first before you see the insignia of the logo. So I open the card, and I pull it out, and it says something of the source of the 9 million and some athletes who have ever experienced or coached or played the game of college football, only 123 have ever been selected to the College Football Hall of Fame. Welcome to the club. And I just dropped the card. I look at my wife, and I'm just like, is it? And then she pulls the cloth out.
He started crying.
And I'm, we get a drink on that one. Hold on. So I start crying. And emotionally, I was kind of, taken back. Like, wow, like this is a surreal moment. Being honored at this stage 20 years later from our championship team. We had just, we were experiencing the 20-year anniversary, and they basically said, hey, you join this club of history. And for me, I know my pro career was 6 years, Indianapolis Colts, Minnesota Vikings, and the Bengals. I was blessed to win a Super Bowl with Peyton Manning under Tony Dungy and those guys. I had a great, experience, but my pro career, I got injured in my contract year, and that kind of derailed my trajectory. But I knew I would not make it. I know I'm never going to make it to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And that truly was my goal as an athlete, as an individual. I wanted to be from Stark County and make it back to Stark County. So when I look at when my wife says, did you do everything that you planned to do? Did you make it? And I fell short just a little bit, but I got so close that they called me for the College Football Hall of Fame. And just to have that acknowledgement, from my career at Ohio State, my team, national championship, and Coach Tress was in there, and I get the call from Tress, and he's like, congratulations. And it's only in Ohio State's history of all the All-Americans, of all the athletes, 8 Heismans, and there's only 27 former Buckeyes that have ever been selected to the College Football Hall of Fame. What's so special about being 27th is that was my number at Canton, McKinley. So, numbers and astrology and things, I tell my dad all the time, he plays the lotto, he plays my birthday, he plays my daughter's birthdays, he wins. To have that selection, to be able to still represent Stark County, to still be able to represent, where I grew up, and to take that into Atlanta, Georgia, and be a part of what to me is the pinnacle of the game of being a Hall of Famer. It's truly special. I really appreciate you guys today inviting me and giving me the opportunity to kind of give you a look back into the history of who I was. My wife kind of gave what they call it, a prelude as to who I've become, and the story is still being written. My dad wants me to write a book. He keeps telling me I should write a book. I haven't started yet, sorry, Dad. But I just truly, being a dad every day to my 3 beautiful daughters, Marion, Jordan, and Cadence, I would be remiss by not knowing that those are the greatest joys. That they're better than any trophy, they're better than anything that I have ever accomplished. When they call my name and they come screaming and they're excited to see me, and they know I got their candy and my wife don't sugar them up, but I got any and everything they want. They don't have to ask for anything. It's a blessing. It's truly a blessing. Again, having an opportunity to share a little bit about myself and history. Embrace you guys. I remember, what it was like here, and it just brings back a lot of memories. And I'm thankful and really appreciate you guys for allowing me to be a part of this today. Thank you so much. So we always have a Q&A. Let's get a couple questions. Yes, sir.
In the 2002 season when we played Purdue, who called that fourth and short pass play?
The question was, in 2002, who called the fourth and short pass play? I believe Tressel and those guys called it. I was on the sideline on my hands and knees praying, holding my teammates, like we got to make a play here. I don't know if it was Crenzo. I think the tape, I have to go back. I remember, I think they might have did a special, and they were just in the huddle kind of figuring out, trying to get the first down, but at the time, Michael came.
Gutsy call.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Your final hit in high school led to a state championship. You knocked a guy from St. Ignatius out of bounds. Wasn't that Gonzalez? And if it was, did you ever talk about it?
Good question. No, the question was my final play in high school against Cleveland St. Ignatius to take us to the state championship for the second time, the real state championship. Against that team out west on their field. No, it was not. He asked, was it Tony Gonzalez? It was not Tony Gonzalez. The gentleman's name was Pete Couch, and that was a hell of a play. Mikey Benison was our corner, and they were scrambling, threw a Hail Mary, the guy catches it on the 5-yard line. I always tell people at the same time, he turns to his left, he catches it on the left sideline. If he probably turns to his left, as we see in the NFL on every Sunday, they turn and they put the ball to the pylon and they tap the pylon and it's a touchdown. Well, he caught it and he turned inside back to the field, and I was coming out of the end zone and just caught him right at the right time. I tackled him, the pylon stayed up, the referee runs over and puts his hands up, and he's like grabbing the ball, and I look down, I jump up, I point, I said, the pylon's still up, it's still up. And he goes, the game's over, McKinley wins, and the stadium just went crazy. So that's one of them. Yes, sir.
What was it like to play with Maurice Claret?
Great question. What was it like to play with Maurice Claret? Man, Maurice Claret, man, was phenomenal. A great player. You know, it's a small world. You know, me and Maurice are really good friends today. We're so good friends that we're actually neighbors. Okay, and then on top of that, we're business partners. So Maurice had, you know, a great freshman career. He you know, went through his growing pains of life, and I think, you know, he's made it to the other side. I'm very proud of him. I always tell Coach Tressel, I said, if I'd have had one more year with Maurice, you know, obviously we won the championship and I went pro. But if I'd have had one more year with Maurice, he probably would have won a Heisman for Ohio State. He was that talented because Tressel ordained me to be his senior mentee. So when he came to Ohio State, and everyone knows he graduated high school early, he was the first player that I have ever known to graduate high school early and came to Columbus. Coach Tressel handpicked me to be his mentor, and I picked him up for his first day of class and took him through the campus and helped him, you know, get acclimated, you know, to Ohio State. So, you know, I think he's doing great. I'm proud of him, and we're still rocking every day.
One more.
Yes, sir. Orange shirt. Is that team out west?
If you're Antonio Hall this weekend on Saturday, what are you going to tell the Win the Gipper type speech? What are you going to tell the kids in the locker room when they're going to play against Massillon? What's your speech going to be?
Great question. So his question is, if I was the head coach of McKinley, what would I tell my players to be motivated to win on Saturday? I don't know really how much more I would have to tell them. I think the community tells them that every day. For sure this week. I think the understanding of the game, you've worked since last winter, building something, building a momentum, sacrificing to get to this point of the season, knowing that you put in endless hours, endless effort to make this a special season. Obviously, they fell short last week to TJ Downing and them schools. Okay, 7-3, good one. Hats off, all your drunk. But if I was in the locker room, and if it was me as the coach, and just so you know, I will never coach, okay? Because I've gotten those calls. Do you want the job? My wife is from Columbus. You know where I live at. We're not coming back to coach. I may come back to retire, but not to coach. But I would be in the locker room. I would tell the kids, this is a community game. This is a community game. This means more to not one individual player. This is truly a community game. Our community supports us. We're building something at this moment, and it's all going to culminate at 2 o'clock. And we not only are not playing for ourselves as our individual, our school, but we're playing for our community. And you know, I don't necessarily call it give it one for the Gipper, because at the end of the day, it's a rivalry game, and any one play, and as Tressel has always told us, it's going to come down to 3 or 4 plays. It's probably going to come down to 2 4th and 1s, and it's going to come down to 1 special teams play. If we can execute and we can win those plays, we'll win the game. And that's something, you know, that's how I would talk. That's what I would say, and put them in a position to try to do so.
This is a brown shirt, Mike.
Okay, it was orange. I was like, man, the last question, he says the last question, I see that, I'm like, man, is that a, so, no. One last question, and then, anybody? Yes, sir.
think you did more to inspire Massillon to win the state championship this year.
All I could say is, for that team out west, you know, you have to win it on the field. At the end of the day, you know, all these paper boat championships and all this, none of those people are around anymore. So, you know, we can't, not in high school for sure. So we gotta go earn it. I appreciate you guys. Go Bucks.